Hello YouTube, it's Lane here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another light novel review. Now today we are reviewing I Shall Survive Using Potions, or I think people call it Potion Loli, which is a pretty good apt description of the story. So, I Shall Survive Using Potions is written by the author Funa, who has written two other light novels that are available in English, if I remember correctly. One of them by Yen Press, I think is Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average? And the other one is by Soul Press, if I remember correctly. And it's Saving 80,000 Gold for My Retirement. Not exactly sure. I think those are the titles. If they're not, I'll make a correction on the screen now. And this volume, or this series, is specifically illustrated by Tsukima. I don't know how to say that name. I hope I said it right. And the publisher is J Novel Club. They do physicals and digitals for the series, although the physicals, I think, are a recent thing. And they're also publishing the manga for it. So, yeah. The demographic is shonen, as far as I can tell. I would have thought this was either a seinen or a shoujo, but apparently it is shonen according to Goodreads. If it's not, please let me know, and I'll make a correction in the comments. Genre-wise, this is isekai, fantasy, and I would consider it slice of life. Adaptation-wise, there's only the manga. I have no clue if they're going to make an anime adaptation anytime soon, but it would be pretty fun. Although I'm not necessarily sure that there's enough action in it to really warrant an anime, or like that to fill an anime with. This would be more of a really basic slice of life title, or a kind of more like character-driven anime, and I'm not really sure that that's really all that great for adaptation purposes, so I'm not sure. Yeah, so the premise here is that this girl accidentally gets killed by a god and gets sent to this new world to make up for it, and she basically swindles the other god that's taking care of this other world she's being sent to, and gets a cheat ability that lets her make potions and their containers at any given time, whenever she wants. And potions is nebulously defined, so it's, yeah, she got off really good with that. And she tries to live an easy life in this fantasy world. But it kind of gets wacky over time because she doesn't really think her plans through. So, yeah. Now, on to the proper evaluation of this novel. Now, the plotline here is nice. It's a good slice of life-esque type of novel or plotline. It's not very complex. It's a very simple story, and it's really just character-driven. It's all about the main character, Karu, and her kind of struggles, mostly self-made, as she navigates this Renaissance-style medieval fantasy world. So there's basically 5 key points here in the story. There's the initial death, and kind of like the fallout of it. Then she goes with the gods and gets isekai'd. The main aspect here is that she basically swindles the god in charge of this new world into giving her a bunch of special abilities. Mostly in the, what's it called? In the vein of helping her make her life easier because they screwed up and killed her on accident, right? So she kind of guilt trips them into giving her what she wants. But at the same time, what she got out of it was way more like powerful than she anticipated. And a lot of the problems in the story arise from that. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what she got because I think that's part of the fun. It's really enjoyable to see all of her reasonings behind it and then see it happen in the world. And it's just kind of like, dude, that's way OP. It's so, like, it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. And then beyond that, you know, the introduction to the new world, which is pretty easygoing. She just kind of like gets there and she's like, okay, what do I do? And then she goes and does stuff. And there's 3 main stories, I guess, or 3 main things. Each of them around a specific city or town that she goes to, does stuff, gets found out that she's like OP as hell, and then she has to dip and like get out of Dodge. Otherwise, she feels like she's gonna get like captured and then maybe taken advantage of. And she does this 3 times, and each time it's like a bigger blunder. But then at the end, it's like, okay, maybe stuff will work out if I just sit down and think about it. But yeah, it's not a very complex plotline, like I said, but it is very fun. I really enjoyed it, mostly because of the main character. So let's actually get into the characters here. So we really only have 2 characters, and honestly, we only have 1 character. So we have Karu, who is the MC, the main character, and she's kind of difficult to describe. I mean, even Justice R. Stone had trouble with her. He kind of talks about how she's not really good, but she's not bad either, and I think that's a good kind of description for her. I would say that she's a good person in theory, but really ends up acting quite a lot more like a selfish person. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing in this case. Usually being selfish is seen as pretty bad, but in her case, I think it's pretty justified, and usually it kind of like backfires in her, so it's kind of a learning opportunity, and I enjoy that. I think that's pretty fun. But yeah, she's kind of incongruent, but cool. You still enjoy her, and especially her voice as a character is really specific and very kind of like sassy, and like she's what's the word, like confident in herself isn't the thing I'm looking for, but I guess it's kind of the best way to describe it. I don't know, like she's sure of what she's doing, but then she's like, crap, I messed up. And like it's funny, and I enjoy her character quite a bit. Her like thing is that she was a 20-something-year-old woman and then got killed and then got isekai'd, and she was like, no, I want to be young because what's it called? In the medieval world, basically being older 20, you're basically an old person at that point. And she's like, no, I need to be young so I can get married and so I can achieve the dream of my parents of having lots of children. And because she's Asian, and this is how they say it in the book, it's not me being like racist or stereotypical or anything. They mention in the book that because she's Asian or Japanese and everyone else around her is Western, or Western looking at least, she is confused with a 12-year-old child way more often than she's recognized as a 16-year-old. So it's kind of funny, and I guess that's a thing that happens in real life. I'm not really sure. I think the author talks about it at the end of the novel, where it's like, even like Americans give candy to young Japanese people because they think they're children, and then they're not really. So I don't know. I guess that's a thing that happens in real life. I've never seen it happen, so I'm not really sure, but I thought it was funny, and it really worked in her favor most of the time. But the way that she's described as like this really cute person with eyes that could make children cry is hilarious, and it's so incongruent, and it really is funny. I really enjoy all the work that went into this character, honestly. I think she makes the series, and honestly, given that she's the only character, it's a good thing that she's so well written, because otherwise this series would really have nothing good to offer. And the second character is Celestine, which is the god of this world. She is kind of like an angel Loli, kind of like Philo, but not exactly. And yeah, she's really easygoing and really kind of gullible, but it's because of this thing that the god characters have in this world that's very interesting. So yeah, the world building is good. The best part really is how the gods are described and kind of the thought process that goes into how these would be and act and stuff. I really thought it was interesting. It kind of gets a little like philosophical, or maybe kind of like, too, not scientific, but like high level, mildly academic. But the point is basically they're higher level beings. They exist in a very different plane from us, and they're so much more evolved that they can't interact with us directly. So they have to project an avatar that fits within a certain parameter that is similar to ours in order to interact with us, or with Kuro in this case. And in doing so, she like limits her capacity so much that she ends up acting like a kid, or like a very gullible, like airheaded ditzy character, just because that's the reduction that she went through. And I thought it was really cool. It's very interesting. I really enjoyed how that kind of came into play. It's not really all that important in the story, but it's a very cool tidbit of world building that I enjoyed quite a lot. The setting is very Renaissance-esque, early Renaissance, more than late Renaissance, I think, because Karu is able to use her modern knowledge in a way that is devastatingly effective, in affecting the world, which I think would be a little bit less so if it was like later Renaissance or like more into the like early modern era. So I think like post what's it called, Black Plague, early Renaissance is where kind of I would say the setting is here. And yeah, there's kind of weird cultural things that really don't make sense to us in the modern world, as well as some weird religious tensions, even though everyone knows that Celestine is the only god. So really the tension is like how to best interact with her, but she doesn't really care. So the people are just fighting with each other for the sake of fighting, not really because she cares one way or the other, which is cool. I think that's a very interesting kind of plot point. But it doesn't really get developed in this volume. Art-wise, it's really cute. It sets a very interesting tone for the series, I think. It actually makes it a lot cuter and kind of plays into that, like, oh, she's such a little girl, but when she's, like, an adult, right? I think it's funny, and it adds a certain level of, like, cuteness to the story that wouldn't be there if the art was a little bit more realistic or more, like, I don't know, something like Eminence and Shadow. It wouldn't really fit with the story. So I think that they did a really good job matching the artist with the writer. Fan service wise, there's nothing here that I can remember. I read this a couple weeks ago, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, no fan service here. This is a fair game for anyone. So yeah. Rating wise, I think this is a 5 out of 5. Now I usually reserve 5 out of 5s for things that really impacted me in any way, in a specific way, and this didn't impact me in a specific way, but I think the character work here made the story way better than it would have been otherwise. So I'm giving it a 5 just because the character was so interesting, and her incongruencies actually elevated her into a level of interest that I wouldn't have had otherwise. If she was a very straightforward, like, completely selfish character or completely kind character, I think it would have been a very meh average story. But because she is so incongruent, either being immensely selfish but being good enough as a person to do things for other people, I think her character is really interesting, and I really enjoyed the story because of it. So yeah, that's basically it. Now, do I recommend this title? Yes, I think this is a very fun title, and it's rather similar to I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years and Maxed At My Level. Or if you want to check out other stories by this author, you have Abilities Average, which I haven't read. And the other one that's written by her is I have to save 80,000 gold, or saving 80,000 gold for my retirement, which also seems fun, but I haven't read either. So there you go. That's it for me. I hope you guys enjoy. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you have any thoughts or want to correct me on anything, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys later.